Subhanallah. Ya Allah. Allahu Akbar.
Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to the World of Islam, coming to you from Atlanta, Georgia, in the United States of America. From Denmark to China, from Australia to Argentina, from the USA to the UK, there are more than 1.5 billion Muslims in the world today. The religion of Islam is the fastest growing religion on earth, but unfortunately, the true nature of Islam is often misrepresented and misunderstood. So I invite you to join us as we travel throughout the world of Islam and give you the opportunity to know the truth about Islam and the truth about Muslims. You are now entering the world of Islam. And I'm joined by one of my brothers in Islam, Brother Bilal Mahmoud. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
And thank you for agreeing to sit and participate in this program about Islam in America. Akhi, as we begin, I'd just like you to tell us a bit about yourself and your background and how you came to Islam.
I was born in Richmond, Virginia. At an early age, we moved to North Carolina, right on the Virginia line, a small town called Roanoke Rapids, North Carolina. I grew up there, and after getting out of high school, I enlisted in the United States Marine Corps.
Mm-hmm. Had that been something you always wanted to do, or you just decided to do that at a certain point?
It's ironic as to how I got into the Marine Corps. In my last years of high school, I played hooky one day with a friend of mine. And we were uptown and we met a recruiter. And
in case we might have some younger viewers out there, hooky means you skipping school.
Right, right. We hooked school, and we were uptown and we saw a recruiter. And I guess to him, we looked like fresh meat. So he pulled us in, and he gave us the spiel on going into the Marine Corps. And I saw the brochures, and they had a very nice uniform. And I told my friend, I said, well, since we're buddies, why don't we go into the Marine Corps together?
But let me ask you, what was the world like? What was going on in those days when you were thinking about joining the Marine Corps?
Vietnam was in full swing. I mean, it was right after the Tet of 1968. So even in our small town, body bags were coming back. But
so when you saw this Marine recruiter, didn't that enter your mind that if you join the Marines, they're going to send you to Vietnam?
With youth comes naivete.
Right.
And I have to confess, I was a naive youth. And I thought, as most youth think, that I was invincible. So, and it never even occurred to me. But the main thing was that I wanted to do this enlistment with my friend. So the two of us agreed to enlist in this thing with a delayed entry program. And my friend didn't pass the exam. And I passed the exam. And once I had signed on the line, then it was a matter of honoring the contract. So there I was confronted with the 3-year contract of going to the Marine Corps. After I got out of basic training, I went into what they call a special ops unit, which was a reconnaissance unit. And I stayed with them for about a year, getting specialized training. And after that year, I got orders to Vietnam. And even though I had the specialized training, I knew that there was strength in numbers. So I had a primary military job status as infantry. So I said, okay, in a reconnaissance team, only 6 men go out. If 6 men die out of 6 men, everybody's gone. If you go out in an infantry unit, which is a search and destroy, you have a company or a battalion. which the numbers are greater. You have anywhere from 100 to 200 people. So if 6 are to die out of 200, say, then you have a good chance of survival. So I opted to go with the infantry while I was in Vietnam. While I was there, I didn't use drugs, I didn't smoke, drink, so I had a lot of time to study, to read. And
But up to that point, when you were in Vietnam, I mean, from your upbringing, did you grow up with certain religious values and moral values from your family?
Yes. I grew up in a predominantly Baptist family. And we went to church every Sunday. I was very active in the Sunday school. But there was one thing that I always questioned was the concept of the Trinity. I could never understand why 1 + 1 + 1 was 1. So even as a youth, this was a big question for me. So once I went to Vietnam, I started to read. And during that time, not only was there turbulence in terms of the war, but there was a certain awakening in the African American community across the country with regard to our African identity.
Okay, now you said you started to read. What were some of the things you read at that time?
Some of the things that I read were Pan-Africanist materials, such as, you would ask this, the works of Kwame Nkrumah, who was the first president of Ghana, before the Mayflower, the autobiography of Malcolm X. Okay, so these were things that played a very important role in my initial understanding of Pan-Africanism and the relationship between Africans and Islam. And in studying the African history, we came to understand that many of the slaves that were brought to America were Muslim. Not only were we enslaved when we were brought to this country, our language was taken away from us, our culture was taken away from us, and our religion was taken away from us. So in aspiring to reconnect and to identify with my African ancestors, it became inevitable that I would have to at least investigate Islam closer when I returned home. So once I returned home from Vietnam, I started to investigate. And one of the better places to do investigation, I felt, without having a bias one way or the other, was to attend a public library. And I went there and I got whatever book that I could on Islam. I started to read it. I started to begin to understand. And initially, at that time, back in the 70s, there were not that many people as what we used to call Orthodox Muslim or Sunni Muslim. Most of the people that were said to be practicing Islam were identified as Black Muslim. I attended their place for several occasions, but I came to realize that there was something missing. Okay, when we're talking about the obedience, we're talking about the submission to the Creator. How can we have some hate for another person simply because of the color of their skin? Racism.
But I'm sorry, no, I just wanted to put everything in the timeline context.
Okay.
Now, what year was that you were starting to, visit Black Muslims and learn about Islam?
This
and
was
what was the state of civil rights and
Okay.
Afro-Americans in America at
Right.
that time?
This was in 1972. I came home from the war in 1972. And again, in doing my investigation, I found that in attending the mosque or the temples of the Black Muslim, that this was not true Islam. No one has the right to say that being a Muslim is based on the color of your skin or the language you speak or even the geographical location from which you are born.
Now, but when you encountered the Black Muslims, you already had a basic idea of what Islam was. So this